I am a beautiful story, and so are you. But hold on. How well do we express this beautiful story? Is it consistent with our day-to-day activities? Well, guess what? I just found a beautiful story. She is a beautiful story inside out. She's a beautiful story, the way she talks, the way she dresses, the way she carries herself, her energy on social media. She is just a beautiful story. So who am I talking about? Just wait a bit and I'm going to introduce our guest for today. Yes, my name is Njeri and this is the Wiser and Brave Show, your woman show where we get to interact woman to woman. You know, we get to wear our very many different hats. We get to, show our scars that are our healing marks, and we are not shy. We don't shy away from showing them. Yes, so don't you go far away because I'm just about to introduce our guest. Yes, today we are privileged to host none other than Doreen Moraa. You perhaps don't know her, but she's going to introduce herself, but I am very sure somebody does. Just in case you don't, here is your chance to get it right from her mouth. Doreen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So would you please have the privilege of, introducing yourself to the guest, to our viewer today?
So my name is Doreen Moraa. I am a young woman living with HIV openly. I have lived with HIV for 29 years.
Yeah.
But I started openly talking about it 6 years ago. And I founded a digital initiative called I Am a Beautiful Story.
Yes.
Where basically I get to leverage on my lived experience with HIV.
Okay.
And talk about it openly and out there, and basically to normalize the HIV conversation.
Yes.
And to ensure that other people living with HIV like me do not give up because they have just been diagnosed with HIV. And be strong and just tap into my own energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Clearly you are a beautiful story because I followed you and I know that you are. So let's now go back. Like, who, other than the identity that you are now, who is that other normal Doreen that you don't know about?
Normal Doreen is
Yes.
just normal Doreen. I am just a young person who enjoys traveling. I love traveling a lot. I love eating.
Yes.
The cooking part is debatable. I also recently I added listening to podcasts in there because I found some interesting ones.
Yeah.
So, and basically just a normal person.
Okay.
Just a normal person going about life each and every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So take me back to yourself 12 years ago. I mean, take me back to your 12-year-old self. Let's begin there. What do you remember of 12-year-old Doreen?
My 12-year-old self was happy. I think my 11th and 12th year was probably the happiest I have ever been in my whole life. Basically.
Okay. Is there a reason for that?
Basically, I think because I was in a school where my mom was the teacher. So being the teacher's child gave me, I was more respected than even the head girl of that school. Like everybody wanted to be my friend and I had a gang.
You had your squad.
I basically had a squad. Like they could go to war for me and I would just sit there pretty and so I loved the attention.
So you were the Duchess of the school then?
The Duchess of the school, and then our house was, it was in up country.
Yeah.
So like our house was the most sophisticated with the TV and electricity. So I had all the points.
I know, I see. Especially being in up country, I get it. Yeah. So you mentioned that you were born HIV positive.
Yeah.
So at what point did you learn of your status? At what stage, or when it dawned on you? Okay, so what this is all about?
It dawned on me when I was just told that I have HIV when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
So I had an infection called herpes zoster on my face. It was actually the infection that led to my diagnosis when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
And my parents were told, and I was in hospital that time. So when I came out of hospital, I had already been I had been treated and I was fine. So now 5 years later the infection comes back because with HIV your immune system is compromised.
Yes.
So because of that the opportunistic infections keep reoccurring. So I got herpes zoster again. So I was taken to hospital again. Now during the treatment and testing and all that, then my mom told me that there's something the doctor needs to tell you. So I was like, okay. Like what was so hard to happen? Because by this time I think I had started getting used to the fact that I am always sick and I'm at some point always at the hospital.
Okay.
So the doctor told me, you were born with HIV. And you are the only one among your siblings with it, and you are going to have to start taking a new set of medication called ARVs, and you will take them for the rest of your life. So at that point, honestly, it did not sound to me like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because to me, first the hospital was like 2 hours from home.
Okay.
So that means traveling. It's a traveling chance.
Oh, the traveling girl.
Then my mom used to like taking me, like after we leave the hospital, she would like treat me to Jicho, soda. So that was also another guarantee.
Yes.
And now there was the part where I had to miss school every month. Like
because of the clinic?
Yeah, because of the clinic. Guaranteed. So honestly, I felt so good.
Okay.
And now, because 5 years earlier, after I'd been diagnosed, I was put on Septrin.
Okay.
And I never liked
that?
Septrin is an antibiotic that most people living with HIV are given just to keep away some infections.
Okay.
So I never, and anybody who starts Kitambo, when you will start treatment, you will start with Septrin, then graduate to ARVs.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I did not like the Septrin medication because it was so huge. And so for me as a child looking at that medication, I used to not like it. Exactly. And it was just a very huge tablet, and you have to take it every day.
Oh, right.
So when I was told about the ARVs and it's a new set of medication, and then when I looked at them, they were so small, so colorful. I liked them. I was like, I am in for it. Just give them to me. To me, all those factors made me a happy patient.
Yeah.
So I accepted myself from that point, and I basically was like, okay, fine. Like, it's not a big deal. And then the doctors told me, but remember, you cannot tell anyone you have HIV, and you have to now ensure that every day you take this medication at the same exact time.
Okay.
So I said, okay, fine. That I can do. I can work with that.
Yeah.
So the following year was now going to Form 1.
Okay.
And that is now where the problem started, because my mom refused to let me to go to boarding school. I was in a primary boarding school, so, and my mom never allowed me to go to the boarding part, but I used to go to the dorms and see how they're living nicely, and I'm like, I love this independence. But then my mom will not allow me to do that. So I was like, when I go to Form 1, definitely I'm going to a boarding school. Yeah. And she still refused to let me to go to boarding school. So the fact that I would own my box with the nicely arranged things in there, it did not happen.
It was a chance you missed.
It was a chance I missed, and I did not like it. But then she told me, the boarding school food is not as nice. So there's no need of me telling you that you can go to boarding school and you go there and then you get frustrated. Yeah. So just go to a day school. So from 1 I went to a day school, from 2 a day school, then the post-election violence happened. And because we were living in a border town, of course, those are like hot spots. So we had to relocate. So when we relocated, now where we went to Machakos, in a place called Tala. There was no day schools nearby. In fact, the day schools were way far away than the boarding schools. So now I was told,
and they didn't have the option of boarding, and
no, they did not. So it was just full boarding.
Okay, if it's boarding, it's
full boarding. Exactly. Okay. So now it was near the road, so going access was not an issue.
Okay.
So my mom told me, you can go here. We try and see how you manage.
It works, yeah.
And I will be coming, because like she used to live across the road, so it is just coming in anytime and saying, I have come to see my daughter. Is she alive? Yeah. So the problem was I had to disclose to the matron that that was a school policy, that if you have any health condition, you tell the matron.
Yeah.
And once you tell the matron, they basically keep for you the medication. And then every time, maybe like it's 8 p.m., you go take your medication. And now the problem is, my doctor had specifically said, don't tell anyone you have HIV. So now we had to find a way. Now I can't go to hospital every month because I'm in boarding school.
Yes.
And I also can't tell the matron that I am living with HIV.
Yeah.
So we had to tell the doctors. The first month my mom went to take the medication, and she talked to the doctor, told the doctor, you have to now put, she can only come to clinic during school holidays. And now she will sneak in the medication for me, like she has come and say, she has a school balance, any school fee balance, and then just to see her. And of course, she's in school, so of course she has to see me. So now I'd be called to the bazaar office, kidogo, she gives me the medication. So she was like, you'd rather have extra medication at school so that we don't have the hassle of having to always find ways of sneaking it to school. But now you see, with the boarding school, there's no privacy. There's always people peeping and asking, hiya, these ones are for what? So you have to always try to explain. So my parents had told me, just tell anyone who asks, they're for a health condition, for a heart condition. So I used to say it's a heart condition. And most of the students were like, wow, sorry, like, how do you feel? Like, how does your heart feel most of the time? And now I'm there telling them about symptoms of a heart conditions that I don't even know and I've never even experienced. And I'm just like, oh my God, sometimes I feel like I'm fainting. In fact, sometimes I even faint, but I've never fainted my whole life.
I've never fainted too.
So I don't even know what happens when people faint. So, but I'm just telling them, imagine, like, sometimes I faint, but they never saw me faint at any point. So someone actually questioned, but we've never seen you faint. And I told them, it's because of the medication. You see, I take them every day. The moment I stop, then... So the whole of high school, the whole of college, I never said a word to anyone among my friends that I have HIV. In fact, most of my friends found out about it through media. And they were like, you never told us. I'm like, because I did not know how to tell you. Because if I had told you earlier, probably you were all young. So the probability of them accepting me might have been very hard, which might also, and sometimes I feel like it was for the best, because it might have ended up making me go through so much self-stigma, considering I had gone through self-stigma on my own. So now imagine telling someone else and they're stigmatizing you as well. So because of that, I was like, So when I finished high school, now I came out to the real world. The real world is super unfriendly, especially if you're living with HIV. And they look at the virus every time they see Doreen, they see the virus before they see Doreen. So I wanted to be an air hostess or a radio presenter. Like, these were the two things I was super excited about. I'm like, if I don't do this, I'm doing this. So I went to this flight school. It was a very nice school, by the way, and it was like those schools you dream of going to. So I walked in there, put my qualifications, and I told them I want to be an air hostess. So the lady at the reception looked at me and told me, I don't think you can. So I was like, why? I am tall, I have all the qualifications you have listed, so...
What could be the issue?
Because you have a scar on your face. So the scar, before you actually get accepted to flight attendant school, you have to go through a physical interview. Where they assess you. Are you tall enough? Can you, like, tiptoe? Is your face scar-free? You can have scars anywhere, but not on your face.
So I thought makeup could fix that.
I told her the same thing, but she told me that before they see the makeup, they will have to see your natural face.
Okay.
And of course that will not work for you.
Yeah.
So I was so mad at that lady. She told me, but we can always find for you like some ground hostess thing. That one can work for you. I said, no, I want to fly up there.
Exactly.
I want to wake up in different time zones.
Yes.
That is it. So she was like, okay, then I'm sorry, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I went to another school, another flight, but that one, the one my heart wanted did not want me.
It was not.
So I said, okay, let me try and maybe try this radio school thing.
Okay.
Maybe that can work. So I went to an uncle of mine who was a lecturer in one of the universities, and he looked at me and told me, I don't think I want you to be a radio presenter. I'm like, why?
Okay.
Like, it is not that I'm not qualified for that. It's not that my grade is not qualified enough for that. He told me, no, that is not the problem. The problem is you will be known. Once people know you, they will know you have HIV. If they know you have HIV, they will not like you. They will stigmatize you.
Okay.
He told me, I have worked with these people. At some point, they get known. They become celebrities. Nobody wants a celebrity who is living with HIV.
Wow.
I was super devastated.
I can imagine.
I went, and you see, this is not even coming from a stranger. Remember, the first one was a stranger.
Yeah.
At least that one I could let it slide because she did not know anything.
Yeah.
But this one is a relative.
Yeah.
This is blood.
This is family.
And they're telling you straight up to your face.
I know.
Which, now, forget about people's perceptions.
Yes.
So what do they perceive about me living with HIV? So that was my question, actually. So I went back home. I was so mad. I told my mom, now what do I do? Now everything I want to do is not possible. People keep throwing HIV at my face.
Yeah.
So I did not like it.
Yeah.
And then it's like it was the universe communicating. I see Babu Loliondo's story on TV. So Babu Loliondo is this herbalist who declared himself that he can cure any disease in the world. And people were going there. In masses.
Yeah.
And it was on prime time TV. And it was out there. Everybody was excited. People were like, oh, wow, we finally found someone who can cure everything. So it was in Tanzania. And I convinced my mom, let's go to Tanzania.
Yeah.
Let's try this. We're about to become HIV free. Like, if we never take medication for the rest of our lives, how awesome can that be?
Okay.
So my mom agreed, and she was like, yeah, let's try that.
Yeah.
So we went all the way to Tanzania. Babu told us, I don't have a cure, but the cure is in your faith. Remember, he's not addressing us, the two of us. He's addressing a whole crowd.
Yeah.
A crowd that is looking at a person who they think has hope.
Yeah.
So he told us.
Out there looking at him as the answer.
Exactly.
And he's throwing back right at you. No, you are your own answer.
And, he sold us hope.
Okay.
And we all bought it.
Yes.
So we gave, and the cup was actually very affordable because it was 100 Kenya shillings.
Okay.
So we gave him our 100 bob. We drank the cup, some herbal medication that has no taste. It's like some trees, some roots here just boiled, and that was it. So later on, Babu told us, now you can go home.
Yeah.
And that was it. So we came back home. Of course, if you have taken a cure, why do you need to take ARVs?
Wow. Okay.
It does not make sense. Like,
No,
I've just been cured. Why am I taking
why
it?
do I have to carry
So I
on?
stopped taking my ARVs. So did my mom. So for 3 months, my mom was not on medication. Then she went to hospital to pick her ARVs and passed through the VCT and told the person at the VCT, I want you to test me. Don't cancel me. Don't say anything. Just test me. Yeah. So, like this, the counselor was like, why do you want me to test you only? Because protocol requires you get cancelled, then you get tested. She said, I know my status. I just want to confirm something.
This is just for me.
For your records. Exactly. So he tested her, and the test came out positive. And she was like, okay. So the counselor asked her, did you think you had cleared HIV? And she was like, yeah, I kind of drank this Loliondo cup and thought I am HIV free, but it's okay. I just wanted to confirm if it worked. Yeah. So she came back home and told me that thing did not work. So let's go back and take our medication. But for me, I said no. I am not going back to take medication. Maybe it is taking a little bit of time. I am not taking it. So my mom went back because, and also, you know, for her, she's already aged. So definitely the side effects start, like you start feeling them of not being on treatment. So for me, I was not feeling anything. My body was still okay. So I said, okay, let's continue. So we continued. And when I did that for a year, the first year.
This is your ARV free for a whole year?
Exactly.
Okay.
I was ARV free for 2 years.
Okay.
So the first year, I would stop going, I would go to hospital, pick my medication, and not take them. So they were just stocked at home. And then when I did my viral load test, because the viral load test is a test that confirms the level of virus and if the treatment is working. So my viral load level was 70,000 copies. That is a viral load of a person who is not on treatment completely. Because if you're on treatment, it's supposed to be anything less than 1,000.
Okay.
So the doctor looked at me, and now you know that things are bad when doctors start calling each other.
Yes.
So they called each other, and I knew something is wrong. In fact, that 70,000 was written in red.
Yes.
And
like, this is super crazy.
So the doctor was like, Doreen, do you take your ARVs every day? I was like, yes. I have never stopped taking that medication. Then he said, but this viral load is bad.
Way too high.
Like, you're from a star patient to a very poorly performing patient. Like, umetoka number 1 to the very last. I was like, I don't know what is happening. Ama ni hizi dawa zimeacha kufanya kazi. Now then I said, you know, I read somewhere, sometimes this medication can stop working.
So they knew this girl is playing us.
And no, they actually didn't know. And I told them, Ama, it is the time, because sometimes I don't take like the same time. So can that be an issue? So they said, maybe that can be an issue. I can try and fix the time part, like put an alarm or something so that you don't, we don't see this. Because if this continues, then we will assume it is drug resistance, and then we will take you to second line. So in treatment, there are lines.
Second line means?
They're lines. So the first line is like the basic one where you're given when your CD4 count and viral load is okay. So you're given that to just control the virus from growing, and that is it. And as long as you continue taking it and you're consistent, everything works. But now when you start today I take, tomorrow I don't, now exactly. So you develop some complications, or if you stop completely like me, then they take you to second line. Now second line is they're like first line right now is just 1 pill. But second line is more medication, and the side effects of course are more, and it's like more cumbersome than first line. First line is just simple basic stuff. Second line is a little bit more complicated. Now third line is even super complicated, because now that is more treatment, the time, like it's a lot of work. So they told me, if you continue like this, we're taking you for second line. I am like, hey. That time we did not even have second line, third line in Kenya. So I knew I'm not taking this. And if they stop, if they take me to second line, then I won't have a third line option. And I don't even want to reach third line. So I said, I am never coming back to this hospital. So I went home. The second year, I did not go to hospital at all. Then one night, I went to sleep, and in the morning, like around 1-2 a.m., I was not breathing. I had a huge fever. It was super bad. My mouth was swollen. My eyes had the herpes zoster had come back. So everything was just bad. So I was taken to, my mom almost took me to hospital in the middle of the night, but it was raining, so we could not go out. So she said, let me see. In the morning, I'll take you to hospital. So in the morning, she wanted to take me to a private. Then she said, no, the public hospital is going to work better. So went to a public hospital. I was tested. X-rays were done, like too many tests. And then I came up, I had pneumonia, I had TB, and now the herpes zoster. And it was, my body, the whole body was in pain. My mouth was swollen. My tongue had wounds. I could not eat. I could not even talk properly. So the doctor looked at me, and he was like, Doreen, why did you stop taking your treatment? I looked at him like I was tired. I did not want that medication anymore. In fact, the last 3 years were fun, but now the fun has ended. It has ended badly. So he was like, Doreen, you know you have to take this medication for the rest of your life. The rest of your life means no holidays, no breaks, nothing. It is every day. So I looked at it like a marriage that does not have the option of divorce.
Yes.
It is, you are in it,
Yes.
and there is no going out.
Yes.
So I was so mad, but then I did not have a choice. So he told me, you have to go back and take your treatment. So I went back, I started my treatment again. I did not go back because I wanted to.
Yeah.
It was because my body was in so much pain.
Okay.
So I went back, I continued the treatment. Sometimes I take, sometimes I stop, like depending with the mood I have that day. Then one time, now, but this time I had done community development.
Okay.
So I was doing my attachment at the Teachers Service Commission. They have a wellness unit.
Okay.
It used to be called AIDS Control Unit. Then they realized AIDS Control is very stigmatizing because it does not deal just with HIV.
Yes.
So they turned it to the wellness unit.
Okay.
So we went to to test. We used to go out to test, like during outreach campaigns for HIV testing. So when we were out there testing, we were in a school for a whole week.
Okay.
And we did not see students.
Okay.
So our test, where our tents are, there are no students. It's like that school does not have people, but these people are coming, attending classes and just going home. So they're not coming to this other side because they have heard there's a HIV testing campaign going on. So we were now forced to go to their classes. The times that they're on breaks, we talk to them, we tell them the importance of HIV testing. Some now, from there we started seeing a few of them coming in and testing. So when we went back to the office, of course, writing the reports and presenting and saying, most of the students did not like coming, were not willing for the test, and most of them don't even know the importance of HIV testing, because you could tell someone, have you ever tested for HIV, and then they tell you, me, I've never done anything. So which means they're immoralizing HIV, and they're like, I have never had sex, so I don't think that is for me. So I went to, when I was presenting this to my boss said, Doreen, you are a person who has lived with HIV for the last 23 years. Why not just talk to these kids, tell them the importance of HIV testing? And I was like, this lady
very
is funny. But I did not even tell her that. I was like, that is a good idea, very good idea. But then in my head, I'm like, she expects me to tell this person, people who don't know me, that I have HIV. It's not possible. So I of course I agreed. And then she told me, just write down your story, bring it to me. Let me see what I can do about it, and let me actually see if I'm able to basically use your story to get other partners to come on board and even ensure that we do awareness about this. So I wrote my story. The first time I sat down, wrote it, and I was like, this is not possible. It's not happening. I threw that paper away. Wrote another one. It's still not happening. I said, no, this thing is not for me. I am just going to stay the way I have been staying. This lady can do whatever she wants to do. But when she was asking, I was like, I am writing it. I have to touch it up, kidogo kidogo, so that it looks nice. So for her, she did not know that I was actually struggling to say this story myself. So one afternoon, I was reading an article on the daily newspaper, and I was like, wow, okay, this story is nice. Like, it was some lady, she was doing a campaign in Kibra, I think, about women empowerment. So I was like, the way they have articulated her story nicely, maybe I should write to this editor. I don't even know why I felt that was important, but I just sat down and typed on the computer, sent her an email. So at the back of my mind, I was like, she will not read it. And even if she does, she will not reply. So I was fine. Then when I reached home, I find an email from her. Hi Doreen, I just read your story. It's so beautiful. I want to do an interview with you. I was like, oh my God. She talked to me. Okay. So I was very shocked, by the way. And I did not, know what to do, because this is the public. And I don't know how the public is going to take me. And the only person who had come out publicly like that was just Assunta Wagura. So now this is me, young Assunta. Let's just say that. I was like, wow, okay, this is overwhelming. But then I called my mom. I told her I kind of wrote an email to an editor, and she wants us to do interview. Are you okay with that? She's like, yeah, fine. That is very awesome.
Your mom was game.
So, you know, for her, she had already started being public in their support groups.
Okay.
She was part of Kenya Potter is a network for positive teachers.
Okay.
So she did not find it a big deal to her.
Yeah.
In fact, if there was somebody who just accepted a status and just started living, was her.
Wow.
And then now there was me who was struggling with every other aspect. But I think the aspect of you finding out as a grown-up versus you being born with it and having to be thrown this reality to, it's like the two different dimensions, and most people don't really understand it.
Yeah.
So I went to the studio, we did an interview. She said, okay, this is going to be on print media and you're going to read it.
Yeah.
I said, okay, fine, I'm waiting for myself in the newspaper. And then later on they said, they could not do it on print. They had to do it on the digital platform. So I said, digital is even better. Nobody is going to read it, because that time social media was not as crazy as it is right now. So I was like, nobody will read it there. Then they shared it to their Facebook page.
Wow.
And then everybody on my friend list was tagging me, telling me, these people they are spoiling your name. How can they say, what is wrong with media? Is this what media has come down to? Like, everybody was blaming them. So now I panicked. And you see, I had not started living public with HIV on social media. I started it from mainstream media going to social media. So it was crazy. So I deactivated my Facebook account that day.
Wow.
I said, I will come back here when things have settled and these people have forgotten about me. So later on, I had left my email now at the bottom of the story. So people sent me emails. I received over 1,000 emails that day. I never read all of them because all of them were many and very overwhelming. So there were emails coming in, people telling me how they have struggled, how nobody knows they're taking ARVs. They have been taking ARVs secretly for over 10 years. Even their family members don't know about it. And I'm like, you know, the first support you expect is from your family. But you're living with a lifelong health condition on your own.
Sheltering it from the very people who
as your own support system.
Wow.
That is a very overwhelming thing to do. And now there's one email that stood out for me on this man who had known about his HIV status 5 years earlier, and he was taking his ARVs from the boot of his car every evening. So he'd leave the office, open his boot, take out his ARV, return it back, put it somewhere. By the time he's coming into his house, park outside, drink his ARV, and then walk inside the house. So I asked myself, that time we were taking this regimen that was very unfriendly, because you could feel like dizzy and now you want to sleep. So imagine this man has worked the whole day, is now coming into his house, has just taken his ARV. So of course the sleep kicks in like 10-15 minutes, which means he cannot even sit with his own family. So he just stays, tells them, I am tired, I'm going to sleep, wake me up during supper. Do you see how overwhelming that is for one person to do on their own? But I told him, why not just open up to your wife? He told me, if I do, she will leave me. So this is the only way. I told him, but that is not the right way, because it's better she gets mad at you, she leaves you, but at least you know you tried reaching out to get her support. Because you doing this on your own is going to overwhelm you. At some point you will stop even taking your treatment. Because you can't keep doing that every day. Like you have to go to your boot, open, remove one tablet or two, put them back. You see, it is a lot of work.
It is.
And you must have water every time in your car. So what happens one time you forget to put water in your car? Then that day
you have to rush back to the house. And
so I told him it's a lot of work. And then I asked myself, out of the 1.5 million Kenyans living with HIV, how many of them are doing the same exact thing? Hiding the treatment, some of them leaving it at the office because it's easier. And this scenario actually played itself again last year during COVID. And people were telling me, Doreen, now I have been taking my ARVs from the office. Now what do I do? Because now I have to stay home and we have been told to work from home. And now that is why I was like, this thing of stay home, stay safe was not safe at all.
Yeah.
Because this is basically, and you see, some of these people are always traveling.
Yes.
So nobody even knows that they're taking the ARVs, and they live in the same house. So you tell them, no, but find a way of trying to take them because you need them, and they tell you, the only thing I can do is just stop taking them all together and wait until maybe we go back to the office, then I can be able to take the medication. In fact, a lot of people defaulted from the ARVs last year because the aspect of staying at home and taking treatment was so much, because they're staying in the same house with people who don't know they have HIV.
Yeah.
So university students were the most affected because they have been taking the medication in campus. Nobody knows.
No one knows.
Now they have been told to go back home. So they are home. And then every 9 p.m. your sibling, and then you see siblings are always the nosy people in the house.
Yes.
So they see you every 9 p.m. you disappear, and then you reappear. What do you do? So one time they will follow you.
Yes.
And in fact, this one girl, her small sister followed her and was like, what is that you are taking? And then she's like, Mom, Nani is taking something. I don't know what it is for. And you see, if you keep it somewhere, they will take that whole container and go show it to your parents.
Yes.
And you have not told anyone in that setting that you have HIV.
Yeah.
You take your medication in Nairobi. You are in Eldoret. So you cannot come to Nairobi. Nairobi is closed.
Yes, it's locked already.
You can't come to Nairobi to take your treatment.
Yeah.
Eldoret are telling you, we can only give you for 1 month. We don't know how long Nairobi is going to be closed for.
Wow.
So it was a very tricky situation because most people are unable to access their clinics. And sometimes, and now the ARV shortage came up, and then everything just went crazy.
Wow.
So these are the kind of stories that when I read them that time, I was like, we have an issue in this country. Because I think the government, when they partnered with the donor and decided they're going to give people living with HIV free ARVs, they thought that was the solution. Of course that was the solution. It's just that it's not on one level.
Yeah.
It does not cover everything else, because you have given me treatment, but where is my psychosocial support? Because living with a lifelong disease without psychosocial support is very hard.
Yeah.
And this is a disease that is highly stigmatized.
Yes.
The moment you say I'm living with HIV, the next question is, how did you get it?
How did you get infected?
How did you get it? And then, they start with, like, I'm not, no offense, but like, how did you get it?
I know.
That is offensive, because how I got it, what does it have to do with you?
It's exactly none of your business.
And how are you going to what are you going to do after you have known how I've gotten it? You see, it does not really make sense. There is no relevance.
No.
So I asked myself, what are we missing?
Before you answer that question, allow me to catch you. We're going to take a very quick break, after which we'll be back with more of Doreen's story. Trust me, it's going to be epic and you don't want to touch that dial. See you. We'll be back in just a jiffy. Welcome back. We are done with the first half of our show, and now we are on to the second half with our guest today, Doreen Moraa, who is just a beautiful story. She is a strong woman living with HIV, and her story is just beautiful, awesome, a story of real struggle, just the usual everyday struggles that we have, but she has emerged to be a beautiful story. So Doreen, we stopped at the question where we are asking ourselves, so what is the issue? Yes.
So I looked at the fact that we have not normalized HIV.
Okay.
We all seem to basically look at HIV from a promiscuous part.
Yes.
Where we feel everybody who has HIV was promiscuous at some point, had so many sexual partners, and that is what we go with.
Yeah.
And we don't have a face
Yes.
to a virus that a lot of people don't like talking about. So most of the time you find people tell me, Doreen, you don't look like you have HIV.
But you
And
don't.
I ask, but there's no way I am supposed to look.
Exactly.
You see, but then again, you go back to in the early 2000s when HIV was at its peak in our country. Yeah. There was this awareness campaign, and I feel like that is the first part where we lost it as a country, where the government came up with these posters, these billboards, with this very malnutritioned man, he's dying, and then it's written, Ukimwi unaua. So those posters were everywhere. They were, first of all, there were billboards everywhere, and then now the small posters were in every hospital. So you see, that already drove fear that if I get HIV, this is how I'm going to end up. So right now, when you tell someone if you take your treatment, you will go back to you. In fact, nobody will even know that you have it unless you tell them. But these people don't get it from that perspective. They're like, "Ay, apana, you are lying to us. You cannot have HIV and look healthy," because we are programmed to look at HIV from an unhealthy perspective, a perspective where everything is like angle. Just sad, sick, and you are promiscuous. You had more than one sexual partner. We cannot argue about that. So every time when I realized that our problem lied on normalizing the HIV conversation, or rather failure to normalize the HIV conversation, I started now, let's start this conversation. Of course, I'm coming in from an aspect where I did not acquire it along the way. I was born with it. I have never been HIV negative my whole life. But then I still have a standard chance of creating an impact, of telling people that people living with HIV have changed the narrative. We now have treatment. We can now we are now healthy. We now look amazing and fabulous, and we don't really, we are not the people of Ukimwi unaua. We are now people who are living beyond our diagnosis. So then I started, now I am a beautiful story. I now started going, doing campaigns on social media, on mainstream media, sharing my story, basically just to ensure that people don't forget that HIV is still here 37 years later. And that we are still dealing with the effects. We have orphans who are left with HIV. We have families who have lost their loved ones because of HIV. We have families who have the loved ones who have HIV and they're struggling to accept and even start treatment. So they are all here. They're our friends and our relatives. But before we see the virus, let us normalize seeing the person, the human being. Because now we have people who are HIV positive marrying HIV negative people. You are not going to stop them just because they decided to marry a person who does not have the same status as them. We have women giving birth to HIV negative children. Some people ask me, why didn't your mom get tested? It was 1992. She did not know she had HIV. And the hospitals were not even taking HIV as a serious aspect of, like, let's test this pregnant woman. And even if they had, what will they really have changed? Because at that time, we were really struggling to see the whole pandemic from that perspective. It's the same way we're struggling with COVID right now. We don't know much about it. We just, things keep coming in and we keep saying, oh, they say it is now transmitted, or rather you can get it from the air. And no, tomorrow they say it's from a surface. So it is like that. So much information. The same way that with HIV. But now, the thing about HIV is right now we have prevention methods that are better. We have treatment that is way better, because when I started, I was like on 6 pills. Now I'm down to 1. So you see, it's been 16 years of taking treatment that have not been easy, but we are trying. We are trying. By the way,
I appreciate the dedication.
Taking treatment for 16 years is hard. It is very, very hard. The other day, I think like 2 weeks ago, I tried to stop taking them to see, like 2 days, what is going to happen. By the end of the second day, I was sick. There's something in the HIV field where we joke about aging with HIV. Then I said, now I think I've really reached that point of aging with HIV, because now my body has become dependent on the treatment itself. But still, it doesn't mean that people living with HIV are less of human, and that we can see them from that perspective where they were promiscuous. Why did they get it? No. People get HIV. Nobody goes out, wakes up in the morning and says, today is a beautiful day to get HIV. No. We all find ourselves in situations, we get HIV, and we can't do anything about it. And how you got it does not really matter.
It doesn't change
Like,
the fact that
exactly.
I have HIV.
In fact, I see a lot of people worried about, I got HIV, what do? I am worried. And I'm like, and some of them even justify it with, I just had one partner. Yes, there's so many people who had just one partner, and they still got HIV.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with multiple partners.
Yes.
It can be just that one person who you trusted the most, and they got and they gave it to you. It can be from a rape incident.
Yes.
You can't really say that now they have HIV, they had multiple partners. No, it is one bad incident, it led them to having HIV. So you can't start sexualizing a pandemic or rather a health condition from that perspective. Yes, getting it through sex is one way.
Yes, it's just one.
But it's one because it has multiple ways of actually or rather there are multiple ways of contracting the virus. So the moment we stop judging people living with HIV that they're, because the people who look at me and tell me, okay, you were born with it, fine, we have accepted that, but how many people have been infected? So I'm like, just because I'm living with HIV does not mean that I go about infecting people with it. Like, it does not work.
So it's like we're looking at you like you're on a vengeance.
Exactly. The people who do that, the people who get HIV and they go on a vengeful mission and they say, I was infected with someone too and I'm not dying on my own. And that is why I tell people that these are people in denial and they have not yet reached that point of acceptance, and they feel like they need to blame someone for getting HIV. So it is you as a person to take the responsibility to prevent yourself from HIV. By the way, your health is your responsibility.
Yes.
It does not, it has nothing to do with the the other person who is living with HIV. If you decide that you're going to have unprotected sex with them, it is you.
Yes.
You made that decision soundly.
Yes.
And now if you're infected, then that is also up to you. Because there are ways of preventing HIV. And actually, I feel like the day we own up to be responsible for our own health, we will really be able to even prevent and reduce the number of new HIV infections. Because we have young people who just don't care. I'm like, there's so many prevention methods, so many, and right now they don't even require that you have to like go to a clinic or something. It is, nowadays it's so easy to prevent yourself, but then you find people who are like, no, but you see, I will be asked so many questions at the clinic because it's a clinic. Even when you have a cold, you have to get asked questions, you see. But I am happy that we are now getting more discreet ways, and the discreet methods of HIV prevention are making me very happy because they are women-centered.
Wow.
You know, we only have one HIV prevention method for women. Since HIV started 40 years ago in the world, one, which is the female condom that a lot of women did not even use. Because it's an unfriendly tool, and it's cumbersome when using it, and it's expensive. Because you find like the male condom is 100 shillings, the female condom is 300 shillings. And you see, women are not at the same economic level with men.
True.
And as we are looking, I always like looking at HIV from a gender perspective. The perspective where women are not yet as empowered enough as we would want them to be to negotiate for safe sex from their partners. Like, it does not matter their age or how empowered they are. At some point, the man will always have more power when it comes to HIV prevention. Like, I like using this example of, nowadays we have normalized the slay queen culture. The slay queen where there's so much transactional sex going on. So this woman has been taken from Nairobi to Dubai on a first class ticket via Fly Emirates or Qatar Airways, those fancy ones. And they're disturbing our Instagram timelines like hashtag Dubai is calling, you know. And then, of course, they're not showing us the person who is paying for the flight, right? So they are now in Dubai. Is this woman at a position of saying, no, we are going to use a condom during sex?
Not really.
She actually is not, because they're in a foreign country. One. Two, she does not have the money to even bring her back. So she's basically at the mercy of this man. So whatever the man says,
he says goes.
So and that has happened to a lot of women. they have found themselves in situations where they are being taken to places where they are not in a position to negotiate for safe sex. Yeah. And sometimes even when they themselves are carrying the condom and saying we have to use this, sometimes the man removes it. She cannot do anything about that. Yeah. You see, it's already, it is done. So what happens when you find out that you already have had sex with this person, you don't know their HIV status, and you are panicking. So if it is within 72 hours, you can get yourself medication called PEP, which is post-exposure prophylaxis, where you take it within 72 hours for 28 days, and it prevents you from getting HIV. Now, we also have medication called PrEP. So if you find yourself in this Dubai situation, and of course you know you're going to Dubai, so while you're applying for your visa, also go for PrEP. Start taking PrEP 7 days before you are now traveling to Dubai and going to have fun there. And so that in case anything happens, in case your partner decides I'm not going to use protection, then you know that you're protected. Yeah. You don't even have to argue with them. Yeah. You know that I am protected. Yeah. So whatever, they may think they're smarter than you, but you know, I'm good, you see? Yeah. And even if you find yourself, like you find the medication, you know, they're in an ARV container. Okay. So of course, sometimes it might bring questions like, you're taking ARVs, why? If you find out yourself uncomfortable and you're on PrEP or PrEP, you can always transfer them to another container or like those sealable plastic bags, and you're good to go. They won't ask, you can tell them they're vitamins. Yes. There's a friend of mine on ARVs and she's been taking them for a while. She tells her husband that they are for, I don't know, for vitamin, I don't know which vitamin. And the man has actually believed. But I told her one day you might get caught. Yeah. It's a very risky game you're playing. Yeah. But then she says that. And she has gotten away with it for years, by the way. So you can always do that in case you are on PrEP or PEP and you're trying to prevent yourself from HIV, and your partner, of course, you don't know their status, they don't want to test with you. Yes. So if you are in that position, PrEP is a very good, because it's a long-term HIV prevention method. Okay. But now, when it comes to the women specific, we have a ring that has been approved. It has been approved by the FDA. WHO has also approved it. It's called the dapivirine ring. Currently, it's only being used in one country in the whole world, Zimbabwe. The rest of the countries, I am not sure why they're not taking it up. But I feel like it's supposed to start from Africa, because here we have a problem. Okay. And the number of women living with HIV than men is higher. I think it's twice higher in South, in South and East Africa, it's higher. So the dapivirine ring is a vaginal ring. Okay. So it's basically inserted it's laced with an ARV called dapivirine. Okay. And it's inserted for 28 days. Okay. So it's discreet. I love the fact that your partner won't even know it's there. Okay. And it does not matter what kind of tricks and games they're trying. Yeah. They will not know that you are protected from HIV. So, which means that as a woman, you are protected. Okay. And that is one, and the good thing is it's not like PrEP where you have to wait like 7 days. This one in 4 to 24 hours, it has kicked in, it has started protecting yourself. Like the dapivirine has already started being, what is it called, like diffusing into your body. Okay. So you're good, you're protected. So I am hoping, because the Food and Poisons Board, it's called Kenya Food and Poisons Board, that one, it has already approved it for Kenya use. Okay. Now we are waiting for the goodwill of the Ministry of Health to bring it so that women can actually, because the fact that more women are living with HIV and the new infections are happening between the ages of 15 to 24, it's worrying.
15 to 24?
Yes. So now we have an issue. We have a very huge issue when it comes to adolescent girls and young women. Yeah. Because for them, they're even in the worst type of scenario to be able to negotiate for protection and to even access protection. Because as a 15-year-old, I can't go to a nurse and tell them I want PrEP. For what?
The nurse will kick you.
Exactly. So that is the point. Yeah. But we are trying to as much as possible and advocate that if these young ones come themselves to the health facility, like a policy is approved where you can access health care even if you're 15 years old. Yeah. Because we are now seeing an issue in teenage pregnancies. Yes. Half of those teenage pregnancies are also new HIV infections. And you see, these are 15, 16, actually from 14, 15, 16. And these are kids who are not in a position to go to the clinic and get treatment without the consent of an adult. Yeah. So it's becoming a very tricky situation, and the healthcare providers are like, but their guidelines, the constitution says this is a minor. I can't give them PrEP and I can't give them PEP. And PrEP and PEP is not sold in a chemist. We advocated for it to come to a chemist, but then the MOH said it's going to be abused. So, but we are still trying to push that it actually comes to, because if it's in a pharmacy and the pharmacy sells HIV testing kits, then I think it's you can just test and then administer the treatment. It's easier instead of going to a hospital, because sometimes going to hospitals is cumbersome. And we don't like going to hospitals. And if I am 16, I don't even think I will be very open enough to go to a hospital and tell a nurse, hi, so I kind of had sex with someone and I think I might have HIV and I need PEP. The nurse will look at me from a minor perspective, and the only thing they can do is deny me PEP, wait for me to get infected, and now start giving me ARVs. So instead of preventing me from the from the word go. So I feel like if we advocate that the minors are also, like, we can just, even if they have a whole clinic on their own for prevention methods, because no matter how much we try to prevent them, it's still going to be hard. And now these are adolescent girls and young women, and they're with us. They are facing all of these challenges. We have seen the numbers of teenage pregnancies, and numbers don't lie. Those numbers tell a story. It's just that we are in denial as a country, but those numbers are telling a story that we actually need to talk about. So that is one of the things I like about the dapivirine ring. So if it is approved to even being used by, like, from the age of 14 going upwards, then I think it's even going to be to change the whole game when it comes to HIV prevention. And why I see HIV from a gender perspective, it's because women give birth to children. These children might get HIV during conception, during birth, during breastfeeding. So imagine if we stopped HIV, new HIV infections from women. We will basically cut the new infections by half. So that is why I see it from a gender perspective most of the time. And now we also, in the works is the injectable PrEP. Now the PrEP we have is oral, so it's just a medication. But the injectable one it's an 8-week injectable that is coming up. We are still waiting for it to be approved by the FDA and WHO to also acknowledge it. Then it can start, countries can roll it out. But it's also an injectable, so nobody needs to know that you have it. You're injected, like, you're good. You're protected all the way. And it's also going to serve women better, instead of this where you are hiding the pill, your partner finds it, takes a picture, tells me, Doreen, this medication is for what? And I don't know, you know, I get those messages a lot. A lot. And they're like, tell me, is this an ARV? And I'm like, I don't know. We have 60 types of ARVs. How am I supposed to know each one of them? I only know one, the one that I am on. Actually, I think it is an ARV. I don't know. Ask the person. I cannot ask them. Then if you can't ask them, it means you have an issue that you, and that is like me ending up disclosing someone's status without their knowledge, and it won't be cool, because if they are hiding that medication, they know why. And now here you are in my inbox with a picture. Especially last year, there were so many people telling, is this PrEP or PEP? And I'm like, I don't know. There's so many regimens used for that. It might be. No, just tell me, why are you hiding? I don't know. Like,
you're not even a doctor.
Exactly, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person living HIV taking my treatment, and I only take one, so I don't know about the rest. So to avoid such kind of scenarios, if you're injected, you're good to go. And you know you're protected at least from one thing, the HIV part, the STIs and planned pregnancies are a whole, now that is a whole animal that we cannot unpack right now. But from the HIV perspective, we need to really reduce the numbers, because we have a number of 1.5 million, half of them being women. It's not really a nice scenario.
So before we can talk about your online initiative, allow me to ask you, have you ever had this talk with your mom
of
the HIV, like, because when we started, you said it's the doctor who had to disclose. Do you think she struggled after that? Did you ever, like, have that talk?
No.
You've never?
No, we winged it all the way.
You just rolled.
Like we just rolled, like, you know, the sins just kept uncovering. So we might talk about HIV from time to time, on treatment, on what, but nothing about like how did you feel about it. There is no deep dive into that conversation.
Oh, okay, okay. So talk to us about your online initiative briefly. Yes.
So my online initiative is basically online.
Yeah, okay.
I do see people coming and telling me, Doreen, do you have like, I want to join your group, and I'm like, I don't have a group. It is just an online initiative, and I'm not on. I don't have a WhatsApp group though.
Yeah.
I don't have a WhatsApp group because I fear I might get people who will not have the right intentions for the group. And they might be HIV positive, yes, but they might find another person they know in there. The aspect of confidentiality always gets me.
Okay, I see.
I don't want someone, because we have seen people, I have seen cases, I've been brought to cases where someone tells me this person disclosed my status without my knowledge, or they posted me on some Facebook group, or they posted me on WhatsApp, or they posted me on a Telegram group. And you see, with that, that is the whole reason why I find it so hard to actually start a WhatsApp group that is a support group. It is necessary, it is timely. The other day I was even asked by a very huge organization, and I wished I could explain to them my concern about the WhatsApp group. It's not that I don't want to, it's not that it's not asked. It's just that I don't know how confidential the people I put in there are going to be. Because this is somebody who basically does not probably want the whole world to know they have HIV. But this is also another person who will be in there like, screenshot.
Exactly.
Before we know it, it's trending. And I will not like anybody to go through that just because I opened up a WhatsApp group for them. So what I try to do is on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, I hold conversations on my Insta stories. So it's like more of a Q&A. So we talk about different issues: disclosure, acceptance, treatment, prevention, dating with HIV, like all of it. And then on Fridays, I have a new video on YouTube talking about different scenarios and different HIV-related issues, and when I'm not, then I talk about my traveling. But most of the time, it's just basically about HIV and to put the knowledge out there, because the sad thing is, mainstream media does not talk about HIV every day. And there's a time I was in a media training, and they were saying, but there's nothing new to report about HIV.
Really?
Yeah. That is actually the reason they gave us, because we asked them, you people have been reporting about corona for a whole 2 years. You have not stopped, but you cannot, you have never taken the same energy to report about HIV. And they said, there's nothing new. We don't know how to communicate the things that are there. So, yeah, there is that. So now, because of that, I try as much as possible to hold these conversations every day. So don't limit them to World AIDS Day. Right now, World AIDS Day is coming up. And of course, the media will be, oh, Doreen, are you available? Doreen, we need you. Doreen, come to studio. But that time, everybody wants you because they feel it's relevant and it makes sense. But then again, we live with HIV every day, from 1st of January to 31st of December. Every day. So for us, it's not just World AIDS Day. World AIDS Day is a UN day that they put in the calendar. These other days are our days where we live with it every day. So we have to talk, I have to talk about it every day, so that you realize that this is the reality of this person, and not just this person, also of 1.5 million other Kenyans living with the same virus, taking their treatment every day, trying to just be more than their HIV diagnosis.
Okay. I've seen you talk about that. For those of us living with HIV, try to get yourself to that level where you're undetectable. What does that mean?
So undetectable is basically a level where you reach. You know, when I said that my viral load reached 70,000 copies and then came back up to 120,000 copies. So that is basically the virus thriving. So when you are undetectable, it means you have been taking your treatment every day, faithfully, without failure. Usually you become undetectable within 6 months if you are taking your treatment well.
It's that? I thought, say like
no, the thing is, as long as you're taking your treatment, imagine 6 months you've achieved it. And those ones were even better because the immune system maybe had not gone very down. 3 months they have achieved it. Wow. But the best one that I know is 6 months. And you take your treatment well every day, same time. You eat well. Nutrition is a very huge factor in the HIV response. When you are eating, when you are taking a treatment, you must eat. So nutrition aspect, then stress-free. You must accept your status. Your peace of mind is a very important factor. Like you are okay with your... That's
where the healing starts.
The healing starts here. By the way, with HIV, it has to start here, and then it reflects on the body, and then to the treatment. So you might be taking treatment, but then you're stressed. You're hiding the treatment. You are removing it from the fridge to the oven to... That alone even can affect the treatment effectiveness because you keep changing it. Exactly. So you have, like, there's a time I saw a story where these women in Wajir were hiding their medication on the ground. So they dig like a small hole, they put the medication there, they hide. So when it's time to take they remove the same hole, take the medication, again dig it back. You see, that already means the effectiveness of that treatment is very compromised. So you cannot really, in such kind of environment, I even doubt if that person will reach undetectable. Yes, they will keep taking them, but the environment of the treatment is very unfriendly. So there is also that. So your treatment, it must start with the psychological aspect. It goes back to what you're eating, and then it goes back to you taking your ARVs every day. Some people say, but then again, you know, I need support, I need counseling. The first counseling you will ever get is from yourself. Because trust me, what happens when we don't have psychosocial support? We don't have Doreen talking about HIV. Doreen has gone to do our own things.
And then again, Doreen cannot reach.
And then Doreen can't reach every single person. Exactly. It is you. At the end of the day, it is you. And somebody, the other day I saw someone saying, at the end of the day, you are the one who goes to bed alone. So when you're lying down in that bed, even if you're lying down with somebody next to you, at the end of the day, you're sleeping alone. So how comfortable are you with yourself? Because if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not comfortable with yourself, you will not reach that state. You will tell me, Doreen, I have taken ARVs for 3 years. I have not reached undetectable. But are you at peace with the status? And it's not even, most of the time we worry about what will people say. Those people you're worried about don't even know their HIV status. But you're worried about them. Leave people alone. Once you leave people alone, you will be good. But the moment you start saying, oh my God, people, my parents, they don't really care what is happening to you. It is you who is living with this virus. They're not going to help, nobody's going to help you live. This is a journey. Nobody's going to help you run this journey. Even athletes, they run miles, kilometers. But do you see them running with other people holding their hands? They run alone. At the end of the day, it boils down back to you as a human being. Have you accepted yourself? You know, the thing is, they say if you love yourself, the world will love you. So the energy you give yourself is the energy people, exactly. So if I am this energy of, me, I have HIV, now I don't know what to do. That is such a victim. Exactly. People will be like, wow, yeah, akipole. You see, that is the same thing you receive. And then you complain, people are pitying me. It's because you're pitying yourself. So if you're pitying yourself, of course the world will pity you. So love yourself unconditionally, unapologetically. Like when I say it, mean it. Believe it. Because at the end of the day, it's you. It boils down to you as a person. Don't peg your journey or the emotional support you need on other people. Unless it is that very bad stage where now you will need people. But it will always boil down to you.
Wow. Probably there's someone who's watching and they're still too afraid and they don't know how to begin or where to start getting help. Where would you direct such a person? Where would you direct them to go?
So first place, of course, is the hospital because that is where it starts. And when you go to the hospital, of course, they take you through counseling. I don't know whether nowadays they do the counseling because you're supposed to be done counseling for 3 times. So I don't know whether nowadays they do so. But it starts with counseling. Then you moved from counseling.
By hospitals, you would that mean
every hospital, every hospital, public or private, has a CCC. A CCC is a comprehensive care clinic, where that deals with HIV prevention, treatment, care, all that. So you walk to a CCC, you tell them, hey, I want to get tested. Because nowadays the VCT perspective is not really that strong the way it was. But CCCs are there. There's so many, like every hospital has a CCC. So you walk to a CCC, they test you. If you're positive, of course, you are taken for counseling. You're told about the adherence, you're told about nutrition, then you started on treatment. And you're told how to take your treatment. Of course, they will do tests, the CD4 count, the viral load count, your liver and kidney function, to see how you are as a person, and even to confirm whether you have any other underlying issues apart from HIV. And then basically you start your treatment there. So with treatment, it's just about taking it every day, same time. Just that is when I realized that for 16 years I have never had an alarm that reminds me of taking my ARVs. So
your body has already
I think
itself
exactly.
auto, so it already
And I met someone with an alarm. Like every time it's 9 a.m. and then the alarm goes off, and I'm like, you have an alarm? They've saved it as sweets. So I'm like, you see, but I've never really had that at all. So it's you as a person to set your mind that this is going to be your journey until a cure comes. I don't know when a cure is going to come. So for me, I just take my ARVs. Like, if it comes, fine. If it finds me, it's okay. But for now, I'm still taking my ARVs. I'm still okay. I'm still, doing this thing called life. But also, one thing that I forgot to say about being undetectable. Once you reach undetectable, the opportunistic infections that most people living with HIV face, when they are detectable, you don't really face them because you are healthy. In fact, I think the last time I was in hospital was that time when I was in 2012 when I had defaulted, and because I was not on treatment at all. So you see, your health is restored. You're back to normal. You can, for women, they're able to have kids who are HIV negative. Because you are undetectable, so the virus is so low to transmit.
So detectable means like
you
cannot transmit.
No, detectable means the virus is there, it's active, it's not controlled, and it's doing its thing in your body, and maybe even giving you opportunistic infections. But undetectable means it's controlled. It's not mutating, it's not duplicating itself. It's like you have put it somewhere, and it's not going anywhere. So to know how many copies you need, like. In Kenya now, it used to be below 1,000. Now it went to below 200. Now it's below 50. Wow. So when they launched it this year,
that should be progress, right?
Yeah. So if you have anything below 50 copies, you are undetectable. If you are 0, you are a conqueror, basically. And now you also can be able to transmit HIV sexually to your partner. That is now always one of the selling points of being undetectable, because everybody thinks that if you have a sexual experience with a person living with HIV, it is equals to a transmission. But now that is why we say undetectable equals to untransmittable. If you are undetectable, you cannot transmit to anybody. So you are awesome. Just like that.
Wow. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so lovely. So should someone want to reach you, how do they reach you? I want you to share your social handles, how it is that someone needing help, someone who's just met you for the first time probably in this show, how can they reach you?
So if you want to reach me, of course, first line of action, watch my YouTube videos because I have so much information over there. So my YouTube name is Doreen Moracha. My social media handles, Facebook is still Doreen Moracha. Twitter.
I think you need to identify that because of
it is verified. It is verified. It's a verified account on Facebook. On Twitter, it's D_Moraa. A single D_Moraa. On Instagram, it's Doreen_Moraa_Moracha. On where else? LinkedIn, it's Doreen Moraa, just Doreen Moraa. On TikTok, it's D, like D-E-E, Moraa01. So that is basically it.
Wow. Wow. It's such, I don't know, it was so lovely having you. Like, your energy is always coming to me. I'm always receiving your energy, and I want to say thank you on behalf of, just me and our viewer for, just coming and, helping us understand this journey more.
Yeah.
And probably what would your advice be to us? How can we help improve, the process of someone living with HIV or,
I think as the general population,
Yes.
I like telling them, first, you have to be kind.
Yes.
Stop this question of how did you get it? How I got it is honestly none of your business, and there is nothing you're going to change it because you can't remove it from me and take it back to where I got it, so it does not make sense. So be kind, because this person is struggling to accept this status. They're struggling to be comfortable in this kind of situation.
Skin,
So accept them the way they are. Don't pity them. There's also a very thin line between acceptance and pitying. So just be there for them. If they need your help in any way, support them. But do not give them pity. Do not be the person who is telling them, you people with this disease. And nowadays, the people say, nowadays there's no stigma, because we have moved from the stigma where you are afraid to greet these people, to sharing cups with them, to now our comments that we actually do not consider stigmatizing. But the moment you start asking someone, how did you get it, that is stigma. The moment you start telling someone you don't look like you have it, that is stigma. Because our stigma now is not the stigma we used to have back then. It is a stigma that we have created a whole image on how people are supposed to look like, on how many people they're supposed to have infected, on how they're supposed to live their life, and we don't consider that stigma. The sad part is we never consider that as stigma. So don't, and with the saying of, not with badness, but me, I can't be with somebody living with HIV. If you can't be with somebody living with HIV, you don't have to voice it out to them. Just say, nice. If maybe they have disclosed to you on a first date, just tell them, oh, you're a strong person to have come out clean and told me that, but we can only be friends, and that is good. It has nothing to do with you, it's just me and my beliefs, because it's the same way that we have Christians and non-Christians. You can't go and tell them, no, you have to believe this. They don't have to. But as long as you do it respectfully, then the other person does not have to feel bad. So that you don't tell. Yesterday someone was telling me on my Insta story that they disclosed to someone, this person told them, you're going to die. And I was like, why would you be that mean? And you're not even hiding, you're telling it to them.
Right,
like,
on their face.
So don't be that mean person. That is why I say be kind. And also prevent yourself from HIV. Because most people who don't have HIV have this belief that they can't get it. But the thing is, the H in HIV stands for human. And as long as you're a human being, you can always get HIV. Always. You're just one sexual experience away from getting HIV. Always remember that. And the moment you accept that and you remember it in your head, you will never look at people living with HIV as if they're lesser of human beings or like they don't matter. Because they matter, they're human, and they deserve to be loved and accepted and appreciated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Doreen. That
You're
is
welcome.
so much. And well, part of stigma was asking, unthoughtful questions. Thank you for, clarifying that to us. And there you have it. That is the story of Doreen Moracha. It doesn't stop here. Can you follow her on her socials, her YouTube, all of the things, all of the platforms that she shared. And until next time, it's bye-bye from us. And as I like saying, thank you so much for your support. It means everything to us, and it makes every single difference. And from us to you, it's namaste.